The small gathering on Savile Row is only the beginning. The event is so momentous that historians may one day view it as a landmark in the decline of the British Empire. The Beatles are breaking up.
Where's my light?
George, do you think all this success is just a one-night stand, or can you settle down to a permanent life in show business?
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. I think in a few months' time it'll probably level out a bit. I mean, it can't go on the way it has been going, but I think we may last a little longer, than we're hoping anyway.
Well, with that, all I can do, lads, is to wish you lots and lots of luck at Royal
Thank you
Show.
very much.
Thank you
Thanks
so
a lot.
much.
Jolly good.
Cheerio.
Go on, scream, they're here. George, John, Paul and Ringo, the monarchs of Merseyside Town. Was it any wonder the seagulls on the nearby reservoir flew off in hysterics? The Beatles haven't a chance of leaving the airport just yet. In the VIP lounge, there's an army of press, newsreel, radio and TV interviewers waiting to ask them a question or two.
I hear anyway that the four of you are going to be millionaires by the end of the year.
That's nice.
Have you got time? Have you got time to actually spend this money?
What money?
You get money as well.
Doesn't he give any to you?
No. You see that car of his?
One of the things you did was visit Clay. One of the things you did was visit
Spitting on me.
Cassius Clay.
He's a big lad.
Who's going to win? Clay Liston.
I'll win him.
Bob.
Well, it all depends, you see. If you go to his gym, you have to say he wins. And if you go to Liston's gym, you say Liston will win.
Yeah. What about, is there any intention for you to go back to America or in fact join the brain drain in a big guitar drain and stay there?
We'd like to go back,
Yeah.
but we wouldn't stay there. We love England.
Can I have a word? Are the Beatles going to go their own ways in 1967? They could be, on our own or together. We're always involved with each other, whatever we're doing. Could you ever see a time when, in fact, you weren't working together? I could see us working not together for a period, but we'd always get together for one reason or another. I mean, you need other people for ideas as well, but, and we all get along fine. The songwriting team thing will keep going on whatever happens, will it? Yeah, we'll probably carry on writing music forever, But you think the tours, like the American tours and the English one, the stands in England, there must be a point where they don't work anymore because they're not to do with what we're doing, record-wise or film-wise. Paul, good evening. Hello. John Edwards right here. Oh, yeah. Can I just have a brief word with you? Yeah. If you never toured again, would it worry you?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
Wouldn't worry you.
But because the only thing about that, you see, is that performance for us. See, it's gone downhill, performance, because we can't develop when no one can hear us. You know what I mean? So for us to perform it's difficult. Gets difficult each time.
You mean they don't listen to you, and therefore you don't want to do that?
Oh yeah, we want to do it, but if we're not listened to, then and we can't even hear ourselves, then we can't improve in that. We can't get any better. So we're trying to get better with things like recording.
How are you? Can I stop you?
Well,
Have a brief word with you. I just want to ask you, do you think that in the new year that you're going to be going your own ways instead of being in a group?
No.
No?
No, definitely not.
Hello, boys. How are you?
Merry Christmas.
How are you?
Fine.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Yes.
Then I'll turn you around this way. All right?
Which way?
This way. No, this
Hello?
way. You're looking very smart anyway.
Yes. Well, I had a bath.
What's all this about that the Beatles are going to do less together in the new year?
Yeah, we won't be too. The thing is, you see, to do things together, the four of us, it's going to be the old things all over again,
You don't want to do that?
No, we don't want to do, what we've done already.
Do you foresee a time when, in fact, the Beatles won't be together and that you'll all be on your own?
No.
Do you have you got tired of each other?
No.
No? Have Because you're fed up of being sort of Beatles,
The thing is,
the Beatlemania.
we can't do a tour like we've been doing all these years because our music's progressed. We've used more instruments. It'd be soft us going on stage, the four of us, and trying to do the record we've made with orchestras and bands and things. So we'd have to, if we went on stage, we'd have to have a whole lineup of men behind us.
Are you getting bored of being the Beatles after all this time?
No. I'm having a great time. Merry Christmas to you.
I think the media, not necessarily television really, but the printed media, are always after these cut and dried things like I'm finished with you and divorce and clash, conflict, split, break, collapse, and all those sort of end words which really don't happen in life. Everyone knows in their own families that you can have the worst falling out and Christmas comes and you have reunions. By the end of Christmas, you're in terrible trouble again because you're split. But if only the media could somehow complicate issues again instead of always oversimplifying them, and point out to people at home, actually look into the camera and say, listen, it's not as simple as that the Beatles are broken up.
Wherever we went, we were supposed to be not sort of like normal, whatever. We were supposed to put up with all sorts of shit from Lord Mayors and their wives and be touched and poured like Hard Day's Night only a million more times. It just built up. It built up. The bigger we got, the more unreality we had to face, the more we were expected to do, until when you didn't sort of shake hands with the mayor's wife, she started abusing you and screaming or saying, how dare they, and there's one of Derek's stories where we were asleep after the session, in the hotel somewhere in America, and the mayor's wife comes and says, get them up, I want to meet them, And Derek said, I'm not going to wake them up. And she starts saying, you get them up, I'll tell the press. And it was always that. They were always threatening what they would tell the press about us, And we had these people thrust on us, And that was the most humiliating experience. One has to completely humiliate oneself to be what the Beatles were. And that's what I resent,
We found when our manager died that we were involved with a hell of a lot of things that we didn't particularly want to be involved in, or that maybe we did want to be involved in, but we didn't want everybody else to be involved in. So really all Apple was, it was Beatles Limited, which we changed into Apple, and we tried to pull all our own affairs together into one company. But there was a mistake made when Paul and John announced from New York that what we want to do is help everybody, all those people who have to go down on their knees to big businesses. We want to help them so that they don't have to go down on their knees. In actual fact, that was a mistake because, yes, we would like to do that. But the trouble is that to find people, really talented people, you have to go and find them. You come across them occasionally. The people who come and knock on your door from dawn till dusk, begging for money and to get a break, are usually the people who have no talent at all. So we snookered ourselves a little bit because we have all these people coming expecting us to just give them £50,000, £100,000 to make a film or to do a record or do this or do that. But the thing is, we can do that, but only in moderation, because if we don't watch it, or we'd run out of money, then we wouldn't be able to help anybody.
We got fed up of being sidemen for Paul. After Brian died, that's what began to happen to us, After Brian died, we collapsed. Paul took over and supposedly led us, But what is leading us when we went round in circles?
Paul, what about the future of the Beatles? Are you likely to go back on stage and perhaps do a show like that?
I don't know, I don't think so. For me, you see, what happened was that when we played the Cavern, when we played the really early days, we really enjoyed performing. But since then, our things got more into records and songwriting, mainly because if you start to perform after, say, the Cavern, you start to perform at like Peterborough Empire, Glasgow Empire, Liverpool Empire, you get an act. I mean, once you knew the act, there wasn't really much more fun in it, except if anything went wrong or anything went particularly right, but it was normally just
Here we go again. So for us, we've done all that you can do in performance. We can get bigger audiences, we can get bigger in quantity, but in quality of performance, it's difficult.
And what about John? He seems to be
John loves
to
it,
go
yeah.
back and perform. Isn't this going to cause a sort of division in the group?
No, no.
I mean,
no, the thing is, John wants to do that, you know, and I think it's great, you know. I mean, see, I've just said I don't particularly like the idea of playing to those many people, but I'd hate to stop him doing it.
Yes.
I mean, he loves it. He did this Toronto thing and had a really great time. So I'd be the last person to say, well, you know, don't do it because you've got to just do it with the Beatles or stuff. I think it's a great idea anyway.
I knew before I went to Toronto, I told Alan I was leaving, but I announced it to myself and to the people around me on the way to Toronto a few days before, and on the plane Alan came with me. I told Alan, you know, it's over. And then when I got back, there was a few meetings, and Alan had said, well, cool it, because there was a lot to do, you know, business-wise. It wouldn't have been suitable at the time, you know. And then we were discussing something in the office with Paul, and Paul was saying something or other, like to do something, and I kept saying no to everything he said, you see. So it came to a point I had to say something. You know, Paul said, well, what do you mean? And so I said, I mean, the group's over, I'm leaving. But Paul and Alan both, I don't know whether Paul said don't tell anybody, but he was damn pleased that I wasn't. You know, he said, oh, well, that means nothing really happened if you're not going to say anything. So that's what happened. Well, I mean, like anybody, when you say divorce, you know, the face goes all sorts of colours. It's like he knew really that this was the final thing, you know. And then 6 months later he comes out with whatever, you know. We were all hurt that he didn't tell us what he was going to do, but I think he claims that he didn't mean that to happen, but that's bullshit. He called me in the afternoon of that day and said, I'm doing what you and Yoko were doing last year. And I said, good, you know, because the time last year, they were all looking at us as if we were strange trying to make a life together and doing other things and being fat myths. So he rang me up on that day and said, I'm doing what you and Yoko are doing and putting out an album, and I'm leaving the group too, he said. I said, good, you know, I was a little, you know, feeling a little strange because he was saying it this time, you know, although it was a year later. And I said, good, you know, because he was the one that wanted the Beatles most.